What's going on, guys? It's Tony, Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, and coming to you today on this July 1st. Just seeing how you're doing. Don't know when I'm going to post this. Hope you guys are doing great, though. It is July 1st. We are through over half of the year. 2020 has been a shit show, if there ever was one. Let me adjust this microphone here. What a shit show, though, right? I mean, good God. Good God. So, I was kind of thinking, trying to come up with some topics for what I wanted to talk about on these upcoming Off the Rails. And I started thinking about this year. And what have I learned? What have I learned this year? Now, I'm not talking about textbooks. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I am talking about the experiences of a pandemic, of a racial cultural shift. Lost a couple of people this year that meant stuff to us. Those things are kind of where I'm focusing on learning my lessons from in this conversation. So let's jump right into it. I have a couple of lessons I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm not going to virtue signal too hard here. I won't be too big of a cunt, but there's a few things here to know. One of the first things that I really realized, it sounds weird to say really realize, is how poorly America is when it comes to sacrifice. We're willing to sacrifice, don't get me wrong, but we look at the word sacrifice and think, I'm going to give you something now to get something back immediately. A lot of people weren't willing to sacrifice during a lot of different moments over this year, and it showed. Now, I'm not just talking about world leaders. I'm not just talking about country leaders or government or celebrities or athletes or any of that shit. I'm talking about just normal folks like you and me. We just weren't really ready to sacrifice. Simple as that. You know, we don't want to wear a mask in certain states because it's an infringement on our civil liberties or whatever the fuck these Karens are using. So, I mean, science literally suggests that it helps, but you know, I'm not willing to sacrifice for anybody else if it means I have to be uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. Seems to be the new motto for 2020. The other thing that I really learned a lot about, and this is, again, just something that you should think about with people around you, even moving forward, is you learn a lot about people in crisis. You learn a lot about people when the chips are down, and when they have to make decisions that are a little bit more, well, I mean, let's talk about it like this. The two big stories of 2020 so far, pandemic and racism. How did people that you interact with react to those two things? Did they wear a mask, isolate, social distance, show their support for equality? Or did they do other things? See, when people have to make decisions before 2020 started, a lot of those decisions were small, didn't matter. The world was moving so fast that we couldn't really stop and pay attention to most of it. But now, everything we do seems to be magnified to where between the people who want to have a gotcha moment, the people who just want to have a better world, the people who are just tired of the bullshit, and everyone else that falls into these categories, it just kind of seems like we're learning a lot about each other. You know, those family members who you've gathered around the table with for so many years and so many get-togethers, and then they say something that makes you realize, wow, we have very different opinions on this one important thing, like the safety of world health or equality for all people, you may have a different opinion. And it may be a tough one to overcome. So I'm not saying that you can't be friends with people that you don't have the same opinion with. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that 2020 gave you and gave me and gave all of us an amazing opportunity so far to really see what people are like. Are people willing to sacrifice for the better of society? Are people willing to put their egos aside and say, hey, we all need a fair shake at life? Are people willing to put their egos aside and say, you know what? We're failing in blank. We need to do better. Those are two really important lessons to me. And look, guys, there's times where I failed these questions myself. So don't think that I've got all the damn answers. I certainly don't. It's just that I think when it comes to a pandemic and it comes to racial equality, those are two things that are wildly important, insanely massive in scope. But honestly, if you're a half-decent human being, a kindergartner could make the decisions on how to handle this stuff better than what most adults do. And that's my belief. And I think this year I've learned more about people that I've known for many years. In the first 7 months this year, I've learned more about some of my friends and colleagues and family and all this than I really was afforded in the years prior. We haven't had anything like this. And I love it. I don't love the pandemic and I don't love the racism issues that we're facing, but I love that these things are coming up and that we're getting a chance to see who the fuck are we really. So what do you guys think? What are some big lessons that you've learned this year from all that's going on? Have you learned anything at all? Are you the same person you were? Have you had experiences with people that just kind of, with these two main topics, changed your opinion? I'm always curious to find this stuff out because I think that we're being offered a great opportunity to learn as a society the same lesson together. Who wants to do it, though? That's kind of the question. There you go. That's all I got. Stay safe, guys. I love everybody. Tony K, Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream. This was off the rails on July 1st of what I've learned so far during 2020.